Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, your favorite narrator from Ohio. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Make sure to stay hydrated out there and to be safe. Now, on with the stories. What's the dumbest thing a player rolled for and succeeded? Part 2. Not a DM, but something my DM can't get over till this day. We made it through fighting a big boss at level 4 and returned to a huge structure where rocks were falling down. One got knocked unconscious by a falling rock and I brought him back up. The other 3 are knocked down by falling rocks and the DM begins to describe a scene of us being transported to Shadowfell. I pipe up and say, "Wait a second, I brought up the ranger, he is still alive!" And DM responds, "Make a DC 20 Dex Acrobatics check." Nat 20 and silence. Ranger manages to outrun death and end up in Shadowfell with the rest of us alive. Not the DM, but someone who had this happen to them. My D&D group were allowed to use homebrewed stuff as long as it wasn't in the realm of being too strong. I found a race that was called Soulbound. Think Alphonse Elric, a soul piloting a suit of armor. Stated in the homebrew, if a soulbound character's helmet were to be removed, they would have to roll a con check or become incapacitated. Me and a buddy of mine were both rogues. Me a soulbound, and him some race that doesn't matter. He thought it would be funny to sneak up behind me and remove my helmet. He rolled for stealth, and I rolled for perception. He succeeded. After he removed the helmet, I failed my con save, and he ended up taking the helmet and placing it in his bag, rendering me incapacitated for the rest of our session for the night because he felt like it. I was playing Dark Heresy 2 with a bunch of friends. For one reason or another, our party ended up in the waiting room of a police station. Our NPC leader was filing some paperwork. While we were waiting, one of our party members asked if they can roll an influence check on the vending machine in the room to get a bottle of water. She ended up rolling a 1. In Dark Heresy, most rolls are done with a 1d100, lower the roll, the better. Our DM thought for a moment and said the following: "The vending machine makes a weird clunking sound, quite different from the norm. Then, all of a sudden, the machine breaks, giving your money back to you, and dispenses 4 bottles of cool, crisp, premium water." 1 for each member of the party. Then our party member asked, "Wait, that's it? Just premium water?" Our DM fired back, "No, you don't understand. The planet you are on is a very, very poor planet. Think of it like drinking Fiji water in front of starving kids in Africa." We pissed ourselves laughing about it. Well, not a DM, there's a lot of those in this, but I remember being a day where we were in a field where we can't see any valuable. I was able to see everything since Passive Investigation 15, and one of the players wanted to investigate, and I said there is nothing, and he rolled in it anyway, and got a nat 20, and DM said all you found is 2 Warden swords that was used heavily for training. So the party I was DMing was in the middle of a battle between an immortal Shadar Kai Echo Knight, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and his whole army of cloned Goliaths. A dragon came to assist them, but they were heavily outnumbered by this immortal knight's army. Everyone was able to escape the battlefield except for the Goliath barbarian/fighter, who found a cart of urns full of gold left behind in the army camp where they were. Instead of leaving with the party, he wanted to see if he could carry the heavy-ass shit cart all the way into the forest where the rest of the group was hiding. He rolled a nat 20. He effortlessly lifts the cart without any movement speed impaired and uses his action surge to run all the way into the forest while dragging the damn cart with him, and made off like a motherfucker. Was DMing a bunch of random level appropriate one-shots as an intro to D&D for my family when one of the characters, a drow rogue named Joseph Mama, 3 guesses what he goes by and the first 2 don't count. And the other 2 in the group, both human druids, come across a dilapidated temple of nature goddess surrounded by weeds. So Joe in his infinite wisdom shouts, "I am going to smoke the weeds." He rolls a nat 20, then I have a chart of what to do when teenager happens, and he rolled on the percentile dice and gets the roll for visited by a god. I think it was a 93. A 92 is lose 1 level due to amnesia, and 94 is bond a familiar that you are allergic to. Ignores class restrictions, of course. So now he is tripping hardcore and has a vision quest, where he is marked with a mission by the Raven Queen. He has to collect lives and memories and has an ethereal raven that he can see through the eyes of. Sometimes. But as he found out in the first combat, stuff just flies through. He was really mad when he couldn't make the raven fly through a locked door, but swords and arrows passed through the raven just fine. On the bright side, he is well on his way to fulfilling the memory requirement, as he was partially turned to stone toward the end of the adventure when seeing through the eyes of the raven, failed to see the giant undead basilisk just under the water. So, TLDR. Teenager's character wanted to be dumb and smoke some weeds, and accidentally became a servant of the Raven Queen, and is slowly realizing her sense of humor as he repays a debt he may not have asked for, but he certainly deserves. During the days of 4th edition, we had a DM who wanted to fast-track us through the system and get to level 30 just to try it out. However, one particular session night, when he couldn't be there, one of our players did a session as DM with the rest of us. We did a one-shot he made himself. I was playing a Goliath Barbarian at the time. It was a fun game with lots of cool puzzles, atmosphere, and we were playing right up until the point where all the adults with jobs started complaining that they need to get home. However, annoying little that I am, I said, "But this is the last room." Turns out it was a final boss of the dungeon. We opened the door and a vampire slowly rose from his coffin atop a staircase. That was supposed to be a cliffhanger, but I knew next game our regular DM would be at the helm and this would not be picked up again. He said, "Okay, you roll a natural 20 right now. You win." I kissed my die, rolled, and kablam! Nat 20. My barbarian ran up the stairs with his executioner's axe, ready to strike, and decapitated the vampire before he was even up. The end. All is good. Now go home. This happened to me yesterday. I'm a life cleric whose background is sailor. I'm not religious, just really superstitious. If we ever visit an inn, bar, pub, etc., I will get absolutely smashed and get disadvantages on everything because I am mad drunk. So one time, while we were waiting for the enemy scouts to come looking for our employer, we were kicking it at the bar. I decided since I had time to kill and I was a sailor, I would take my kit's 50 feet of rope and make a hammock with it. My DM ruled it would be a sleight of hand dex check. Dex is my dump stat, as in my dexterity is 6. I rolled a nat 20. So somehow, in my drunken stupor, over 6 hours, I made a hammock and tied it to some posts in the corner, got in it, and just kind of binge drank grog and rum while humming sea shanties to myself. I also heard a ghost singing in Elvish about how the next town over was totally destroyed and ours was next. I was the only person who understood Elvish. Decided I was too drunk to really care or get it, and just ordered more grog and rum. Eventually, the enemy showed up. They were pirates. My teammates were handling it well enough, so I just kept drinking in my hammock. Eventually, one of the pirates got too close to my hammock, so I got up and hit him in the head with my mace. I rolled double nat 20s with disadvantage. I then rolled max damage. He died in one hit. I just downed my rum, healed my injured teammate, looted the pirates of all of their rum, got back in my hammock, and went to sleep. The rest of the party, looking through the big-ass treasury we found. Paladin. Hey, look through that desk and read whatever's in it. Me, a pirate. Arr, okay. You walk to the desk and find a letter with a wax seal and it's addressed to you. My character can't read. Ooh, what you got there? I try to pretend to know what it says. Some sort of hoopla, hooply-ba, hoodoo-ba-ba. Why don't you just tell them you don't know what it says? I know they're going to make fun of me. You know what? Fine. Roll an insight. Nat 20. You perfectly depict what it says despite you not being able to read. A player in a campaign I was in had a dagger that applied a bleed effect through an enchantment to targets, but that also required the attack to be sufficiently well aimed to activate. I think the DC was 15, so he used it on a massive wooden wall erected by goblins and ogres, on the outskirts of a mining town we were trying to save, that they had time to erect and fully fortify because we took so long to get there. We kept getting sidetracked by a seemingly innocuous hut or a faint metallic glimmer in a tree. So, guy turns to the DM and says, I want to use the bleed effect on my dagger to dry out the wood to make it easier to burn. A short, friendly argument later, and he did, because the DM forgot to include that the enchantment on the dagger only worked on living targets, and we burnt that wooden fortress of a wall down. The dagger later made skeletons, air elementals, and stone golems bleed. Stone golems bleed magic mud, by the way. I don't remember what we did with that, though. Amongst many others, ever bottle Lich Blood? I have. That game was fun. I use that enchantment in games I run now, exactly like it was, in memory of the friends that parted ways IRL, and to see how creative my players will get with such a simple effect. Make the rivers bleed. Make the mountains bleed. Become the blood god. Homebrew rules by a friend. My party had a Draugr warrior, basically a melee zombie, the essence of murder hobo. In one adventure, we had to take the helmet of a boss before defeating the boss. The helmet held a dangerous spirit empowering the boss, so we could not kill the boss or damage the helmet. All of my party failed to grab the helmet multiple times. My character somehow impaled his own foot. Then the Draugr managed to grab the helmet. The DM said to the Draugr player, "The spirit speaks to you. Roll for mental fortitude." The rest of our party was in a cold sweat. As we were low on health, the Draugr had the highest combat stats and basically no mental fortitude. Were he to be possessed by the helmet and be empowered by it, he would be more powerful than the actual boss. He rolled a nat 20 so he could resist the helmet. He stated, "I don't negotiate with communists," and put the helmet in his bag. He was that special kind of undead. Bit of context. We had just finished a quest to find this lady's cat. She was the headmistress at Hogwarts. My character also had a house elf that could give her bagels. Also, my character really loves cats. She has 12 at home. We're talking to the headmistress and getting ready to head out. My character and another decide that they want the lady's cat. So I have my house elf bake a bagel in the same shape and size as the cat. My friend, the rogue, rolls to switch out the real cat and the bagel one. And they get a nat 20. We leave that place with one more cat. Sounds like me. A few sessions later, the lady turns out to be the main villain. She kidnaps us, and while we're being held hostage, we talk a little. Turns out she truly believed that it was a cat and had fed it. She thought it was dead. Fast forward even more, and it turns out that the cat was the real headmistress. Our DM had apparently been mentioning a fancy collar around her neck, but we were so caught up in the idea of stealing the cat that we weren't listening. Hey everyone, Brian here, checking in after the vid as always. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and to ring that bell to get notified whenever we post a new vid or go live. If you have a story you'd like to submit to us, make sure to join our subreddit and to follow us on Twitch and Twitter. Links are going to be in the description below. Using a help action, you can come say hi to me over on YouTube where I stream games, make D&D content, and voice act some lovely memes too. As always, I try to end things on a happy and positive note, or at least a little bit of a good note. So today, I just wanted to say, leave it in the comments below, how have you been doing? Have you made any new friends lately? Have you been successful at work lately, or school, or uni? Are you excited for anything? Are you happy for anything? I want to know that because we focus a lot on all the bad, negative things in the world. It's a little bit of happiness can't hurt, you know what I mean? So all love everybody, make sure to leave a comment telling me all about that, and I will be reading it soon. All the love, see you later, bye for now.